Hey, welcome to the Confidad podcast. My name is Dan Tinquist. I'm so glad that you tuned in, whether it's the first time or the sixth time. Today, we are going to buzz right on through our three pieces as we move from a mindset of fatherhood, healthy mindset of fatherhood, into equipping you, and at the end, empowering you to live well, to become the dad that your kids need. Started out, say this mindset with me. I'm the only one who can fulfill the fatherhood role that I have, so I choose to do it well. I get to show up for my kids. Imperfection is reality. Ownership is a choice, both for me and my kids. Today is brand new. So is tomorrow. I am wholly loved, so I will love wholly. Today, I want to talk about becoming a bridge builder. I like to think about relationships as a bridge. And the idea is that we move in a space where our kids are connected to us by a bridge. So the saying, no man is an island, yes, it's true. But for this illustration, let's just think of ourselves kind of visually in your mind's eye. Think about your family, and each one of you is an island, okay? And spanning that distance of water between you is a bridge, okay? And so this is the idea I want us to think about as we think about you to your spouse, you to your children, them to you, them to your spouse, whatever. However that makeup is in your family, it doesn't have to be like the nuclear family thing, but whatever that looks like, each person is an island connected by a bridge. These bridges aren't automatic. They don't become robust on their own. If they're left to the way of decay, that's what happens, right? And so as we think about this, when the kids are first born, it's more like a rope bridge, right? Like it's very, very delicate. Anything that your kids need, you need to bring it to them, right? They're infants. They can't do literally anything for themselves. And so that island's life, that island's like survival depends on this rope bridge and depends on you bringing everything from your island to their island, right? It's very delicate. You think about when you first held your kids, like how delicate. And like, I remember with my kids, I'm like, I feel like I'm going to break them, right? Like they send you home with this kid in a car seat and you're like, wait, that's it? Like, oh man, this is delicate. Like it's a serious moment where you're like, yes, I guess I'm responsible for this life now. And as we move through life, the days and months and years go by, the idea I want to help you understand and commit to is building a bridge that moves from a rope bridge to like a boardwalk and eventually a Golden Gate bridge. Why? Because as we increase the significance and the strength of the bridge, it represents the significance and the strength of the relationship. Okay? As they grow older, your kids grow older, and that bridge changes and evolves because you're building it and you're working on it from both sides. They start to carry some things across, right? They start to connect with you on their own accord. They start to contribute to your household and to the relationship, family culture. So instead of us moving 100% of the goods and services across this rope bridge that's delicate, we begin to have more of like a 50-50, right? Like this can look like your kids learning how to cook their own eggs and make their own sandwiches and pack their own lunches for school as they grow, doing chores around the house, helping out, keeping everything in order. And it can help us, like we've pulled back and they've come 50-50, right? And my goal for our family and our kids is to have a robust enough relationship, a robust enough bridge by the time they're teenagers. So our oldest is getting real close, that we can carry the weight of any conversation that they have or that we want to bring to them. That it's a Golden Gate bridge, not just before they leave the house, but before they're teenagers, because if that is the case, if home is the safest place, if we're the place they run to when they get in trouble or they make a mistake or they're struggling, guess what? That becomes the highway, the well-worn neuro pathway, not only just like metaphorical bridge, but the well-worn neuro pathway where they learn when I'm in trouble, when I need help, when I'm struggling, I go to mom and dad. Okay. And that is a beautiful way to maintain connection, even when disagreements happen. I think about disagreements as like heavy semi trucks, right? Like big trucks. They're not going to cross a boardwalk very well. So they're just going to stay on their side. And do we want our kids to just be holding this heavy weight on their own island? Or do we want them to be able to begin to carry those heavy things, those deep conversations, those deep questions that they're carrying across the bridge and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, how do I do this well? How do I like get along with my friends who are being mean to me? How do I forgive people when they don't say sorry and I feel like I can't do it? These are the heavy conversations that we get to have, the significant conversations that we get to have as we build these bridges. If we don't do any maintenance on these bridges, remember, they go the way of decay. Do we want our relationships with our kids to decay? No, we don't. We want to keep maintaining. And just like any other relationship in our life, without work, it dies or deteriorates. So think about your bridge. How is your bridge between you and each one of your kids? Maybe one of them is in a little bit disrepair and the other one's really great. That's okay. Be honest about where your bridges are right now so that you can start to work on them in a really powerful, intentional, patient way. Just like a normal bridge, like it takes work and time and effort for them to grow and change, for them to be repaired. And so we have to be patient even in our relationship with our kids as they grow and repair. Maybe you have disrepair in your relationship with your kid right now, and it's very, very painful. I get it. We have a safe place, a community where you can come and talk about that and be loved and challenged through it. Not just to say, well, this is how it is. I'm going to throw up my hands and I'll just be this way till they graduate, I guess. No, that's not the way it works. I mean, it's how you can do it if you want to, but like we say in the mindset, like ownership is a choice. Are you going to own the bridge maintenance and the bridge building to move from rope bridge to boardwalk bridge to Golden Gate Bridge? You have a Golden Gate Bridge. This is the coolest part. It isn't like 50-50 anymore. It's actually 100-100. They can come all the way to you and we can come all the way to them. And this is a beautiful picture of interdependence, which we'll talk about in our next episode. We'll dive deep into the difference between interdependence, codependency, and independence. Like, what does that look like and what does that mean? But for now, let's remember that like building resilient children and bonds with our kids not only makes our relationship stronger, but it also builds resilience in them to go through the hard things of life because they have strong connection. There's a Harvard study. It's the longest longitudinal study in Harvard's history. And they talk about the fact that like the most successful adults had responsibility as kids. Like they had chores and contributions, right? We talk about that in my course as we think about the four builders in our family culture framework. You know, the other thing is connection, relationship. In that study, they said the happiest adults are those that have the strongest relationships, the biggest, most robust, not many, but the most robust relationships within their life. I don't know about you, but I want my kids to be happy, successful, confident, independent adults. It doesn't happen by default. It doesn't happen by accident. Maybe some adults get there on their own because of just their own gift mix, but for the most part, good relationships don't happen by default. I'm just going to spend this last few minutes empowering you with the choice. Like you get the choice to decide, am I going to choose to build this relationship, to take few minutes 3 times a day to build a relationship with my kids? You can. It starts now. It starts slow. Marginal improvement, 1% better every day. Maybe you feel like there's a big mountain to climb ahead of you with the relationships with your kids. I get it. But the reality is you can't climb that mountain in a day. Your kids don't become adults in a day. Sometimes it feels like it, but they don't. And so we have this path before us, well-worn path of other people who have done this that we are learning from. And so may I empower you with a choice. You get to choose today. Am I going to invest 1% more, improve my investment with my kids 1% better today? Am I going to show up for them well, or am I going to carry the stress of work home and let that become kind of the milieu of our relationship, of our family culture? The way that dad goes is the way the family goes in so many circumstances. And don't hear me saying what I'm not saying, but as you lead your family, as you grow your family, if you're grumpy and crabby and impatient, holy smokes, we model that to our kids. That's how they start to talk to each other and how they start to live. But if we model patience, extreme responsibility and ownership, marginal improvement, patience and growth, what a gift for kids to go, I don't have to prove myself to mom and dad. I don't have to show up perfect, but I show up owning my stuff and moving through life committed to intentional growth. That is what we're doing here at Confidad, and I hope that you would hop into the community and join us. Quick reminder, January, we are going to offer a mini course moving you into 2025 with a plan, with intentionality, to build a healthy family culture that you are proud of and your kids and wife are bought into. I hope you join us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.